Bhagyashree who has worked in several Hindi, Marathi, Kannada, Telugu, Tamil and Bengali films. Her fascination and vision, we honor her tireless efforts to build a healthy society. Now, may I request Srimati Himati Nanavati, our Chairperson, Managing Committee and Trust, to felicitate our guest, Ms. Bhagyashree with a Tulsi plant, a love of token from us. Thank you, ma'am. Now it's our time to introduce our second guest, whose journey is inspiring to many. Madhvendra Singh Gohil, and largest non-profit organization for HIV treatment and testing. Currently, he is developing his dream project, LGBTQA community campus at his royal establishment of Hanumanteshwar for the social and financial empowerment of the. I request Dr. Yotin Jain, Honorary Secretary, Managing Committee and Trust, to felicitate Prince Madhvendra Singh Gohil with the Tulsi plant as a token of love and appreciation. And once again, now to begin with the first part of the event when everyone is waiting to hear our guests. So let's start with the engaging discussion on mental health with our esteemed guests, Ms. Bhagyashree and Prince Madhvendra Singh Gohil, which is moderated by Dr. Cecilia Chetya, Head Department of Psychology, Manipur Nanavati Women's College. I request other members to please be seated.
कैमरा वाला आया तेरा कैमरा खराब आपको क्या बात
Namaste, good afternoon, and it's an absolute pleasure to be in a place where really the women in our society get provided financially, mentally, supported to achieve their dreams. So thank you so much, first of all, for having me here. To your question, I would say, yes, born into privileged homes, but with that comes the responsibility of living up to that privilege. People around us also expect us to behave in a certain way, to prove ourselves that we really deserve the privilege that we have been blessed with. And that becomes a problem because when you're growing up, you're just a child. Like any other child, you don't realize that you are born into that kind of privilege. But the people around you are constantly judging you from that perspective. So I think the biggest challenge is avoiding that kind of judgment that puts you in a place of envy, of jealousy, of wanting to bring down the other person, because as humans, one rarely really glorifies another person's accomplishments. You know, unfortunately our society thrives on bringing down the other person rather than feeling happy for someone who's achieved anything in their lives, or just feeling happy for someone else's happiness. And I think that is the biggest problem. So while you're growing up, especially for me, growing up in a royal household, of course there was a lot of do's and don'ts. Though I was born and brought up in Bombay, life in Bombay was very different to what it was in Sangli, which is my hometown. And there somehow we are revered in a completely different place. So for me, being an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old who doesn't understand what so-called privileges are meant to be, coming from a school in Bombay, studying in a convent, being a normal person, and then having to go back to a place where you're supposed to behave in a certain way was very, very difficult. And not only to prove myself to the society in general, but there were also lots of do's and don'ts, as I'm sure you would agree, where restrictions were put on by our parents, by our family. There was a certain decorum. Don't laugh loudly. Don't squat on the floor. Don't eat with your hands. Don't munch with your mouth open. I mean, these are basic manners, but we had to follow them very strictly. You know, it was like, ऐसे कैसे help कर सकते हो? You can't speak loudly, you can't laugh loudly, you can't cry loudly. You have to behave in a certain way, and you people won't believe it. But I think I was in the 8th standard when my father told me, no more wearing skirts, jeans, or any other form of dressing other than a sari when I would go to Sangli. Also, I had to keep my head covered. It was the protocol of what was required at that point of time. So it comes very strange because all of you, like me, we have studied and we've been born and brought up in a cosmopolitan atmosphere where we don't really have to follow these norms. So when I would go back there and I would have to follow these restrictions, it was suffocating. It was so difficult. But we weren't supposed to ask questions and we were supposed to follow the norms. So yes, it was very, very difficult at that age.
Yeah, I'm remembering now that you said this. I wasn't allowed to wear shorts after the 8th standard. No t-shirts and no shorts. No, I'm not allowed. I was given a scolding by my grandmother. There's no way you have to wear long pants now that you come in 8th standard. I said, wow. So there was so much of restrictions there. I totally agree.
There you have it, ladies. If you think only you're being restricted at home, it doesn't matter where you come from. Restrictions are part of life. So let's learn to work with them. Most of our audience today are adolescents or young adults, and they pass a stage called as imaginary audience. An imaginary audience is where you feel constantly being judged, evaluated, people are constantly looking at you. Now for adolescents that is imaginary, they know it, but they don't know how to handle it. The two of you are public figures. You are actually watched, judged, evaluated, and unfortunately controlled. How do you deal with this?
First of all, I would say the strength that we have been given with is us. We cannot be our biggest strength. We are our biggest strength. So it's so important to believe in yourself. Because I realize this, that unless you believe in yourself, no one else is going to. When you look at yourself in the mirror and find someone who is confident, who believes in what he or she is doing, that's the only way that you are going to pick up your sword and fight the world. So if you're going to look to someone else complimenting you, patting you on the back for your accomplishments, guiding you through life, sorry, that ain't happening. That ain't happening till you help yourself. And as they say, that God helps you lead the way only if you work towards it yourself. So you can't wish for things to happen and pray to God. जैसे अभी एग्जाम टाइम पे सब लोग जाके मंदिर में प्रसाद डालते हैं और बोलते हैं भगवान मुझे इतना मार्क्स दे दो मैं इतना प्रसाद चढ़ा दूंगा. भगवान is not going to do that for you unless you study, right? आप पढ़ाई करोगे तब तो मार्क्स आएंगे. So same goes with life. I think if you work towards it yourself, you believe in yourself, and yes, that takes an effort. That takes an effort to hone your skills, to nurture your own dreams, to be strong, determined, and work towards the path that you want to go with dedication. When you are concentrating on yourself, I don't think you have time to concentrate on the jobs and the barbs what the society has got.
To answer. We've all traveled in Mumbai. We know what it is like when a man is looking at us, and sometimes they claim to be looking at us with innocent eyes, but very often we know that the mind behind those eyes is not all that innocent. You started very young in front of the camera and doing something that probably nobody in your family did before. How did you find the strength to hold your ground and face the camera?
It was difficult. I mean, there were scenes in Maine Pyar Kiya that I got changed. Fortunately, I could because Surajji really wanted me to act in Maine Pyar Kiya, so I was lucky. I was also lucky to have Salman as a co-star. And he was very protective. He was also very and extremely well-mannered. Every scene that we had to do, he would literally take my permission and say, "You're okay with me doing this, right?" So it was simple for me. I would say I'm blessed. But like you said, yes, dirty male gaze does happen. Somehow you feel small. Sometimes you can't stand up. You feel that you can't stand up to stop something like that from happening. All I would say is, like I said right in the beginning, you have to believe in yourself and you have to believe in what is right. Because when you are right, that itself is the biggest strength that you can get. To be able to voice what you feel, to be able to carry that aura around you. I think fortunately, though I'm small, small package, I'm not very tall, I'm not very big built, I don't look strong, but I think I have that aura around me where I don't think people can just come up and mess with me. I give them that kind of look. So I think it's about carrying yourself with that weightage. Treat yourself like a queen, and you will have soldiers protecting you, not putting you down.
So we have a lot of queens in this room right now. Yes. Ladies, you feeling like queens?
Every one of your children, you are.
That's the woman's perspective. But sir, we always talk about how women are, tortured and how much they suffer, and sometimes we forget in terms of psychological treatment. And I'd like you to share something about that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I've got more girlfriends than boyfriends. That was very surprising because in school, I studied in a co-ed school in Bombay, Scottish, in Bombay, and I was very protective of the girls, and no girl in my class could bully any girl. So all the girls were extremely happy. None of the boys liked me, but I secretly liked the boys. I had a sexual attraction towards boys, not towards girls. So I was very much attracted to some boys. And I told him also, in fact, I met him a few years back, and I told him, Ahmed, you don't perhaps know, but I had a crush on you. So anyway, it was a very unique situation for me that, I was the protector of girls, and in Gujarati there is a word, I don't know, maybe Marathi also maybe, Benbari. A lot of issues. We have had cases where we get raped, but there is no reports because police only listens to female rapes. But when men also get raped, I am happy. And a number of cases I can tell you where people have come to me with these cases. Transgenders get raped, but the same reports is not there. Unfortunately, our laws.
People are actually having these conversations. A lot of transgenders have also got roles to play in the films. They are working on the sets. I mean, I don't know how many of you have seen Maiden Heaven twice, two. You know, Trinetra. Wonderful job done, and she's also getting a lot of awards for her work done there. So I think people, especially the young generation, you all have to take this flag forward, where the base of any relation, the base of humanity is all about respect. Because when one respects another person, then it's not about gender, it's not about any kind of inequality, it's just basic human respect, which will slowly resolve all the problems and all the walls that are there between two genders.
That's true, that is true. So do you think the gender neutrality debate is something that needs to be discussed?
See, definitely we need to discuss gender and there
All kind of getting the gender basis into talks of today. Unfortunately, both the genders sometimes use this to their advantage, taking, like you said, in a toilet that doesn't have any gender. The fortunes of mishappenings just increase, which is a possibility. You have a lot of men, straight men, who pretend to be gay so that they can misbehave with women, which they say, okay, we're just being friendly, but they aren't really gay. So it's those kind of things that really put down or slow the process of trying to reach a safe zone for either of the genders. I think also from the women's perspective, the Me Too movement was started, and yet there were so many women who took advantage of this and brought men down who had probably broken their relationships with women. So for these small percentage of women who take advantage of this situation, we kind of lose the gravity of bigger subjects like women actually getting raped, or men actually having, like you yourself would have a problem, you know, going to a toilet which was male-centric or women-centric. So for those people who are genuinely having a problem, like I said, it all starts with respecting the other gender. So it's male to female, female to male. I think we all as a society need to be a little bit more conscious, a little bit more aware, and people who are using this merely to put down the other gender or to their advantage should be publicly, what do you say, ostracized? Yeah, because that's the only way to move forward if we are supposed to maintain some kind of decorum in the society.
So we're looking for public recognition or public identification of people who challenge you based on your orientation, based on your choice of a partner, and maybe some really harsh action because nobody really does anything other than talk about it. Isn't that so? Do you feel that there is strong action happening?
see, we have to speak up about it. I mean, if we feel
From the gender perspective, I think as a society, my generation, our generation has brought up our children to see the world differently. We want to educate our daughters. We want them to achieve something in their lives. We want them to live their dreams and make sure that their aspirations, what they want in life, is achieved. But while doing all that, I think the basis of our patriarchal society doesn't budge. I'm doing this film called Happy Teachers Day right now, and it has a lot to do about this. The men in our society, the fathers, the brothers, the husbands, are yet to accept this change that has happened in our society. So though we'd like to speak about it and encourage it and say that yeah, we are willing to go side by side, hold their hands, take them forward, it doesn't really happen. You educate your daughter, but you still expect her to stand in the kitchen and make a decent cup of tea at least. You tell your daughter that you should finish your education, but by the time she turns 21, you're looking out for a spouse. So, these things are obstacles for the women to achieve their dreams, to move forward. And it's only if the society, the patriarchal society changes, that's when this can actually change in our society. We still hold just the father as the revered member of our family, while it's our mothers that actually take care of us throughout our growing years and actually catch our hand and teach us things. Why isn't the mother, why isn't the housewife or someone who is staying at home, a stay-at-home mother, given the importance of a working woman? आजकल सब ये कहते हैं लड़कियों को सिर्फ बाहर जाके काम करना है, शादी करके घर नहीं संभालना, अपने बच्चे नहीं संभालने. Do you realize why that happens in the younger generation? Is because I've seen their mothers stay at home, look after the children, work at home, take care of the house, the family, and yet get no respect. That is so important. They see that happening to their mothers and they say, I am going to change my life. I don't want to be like my mother. Yes, I love my mother, but this is not the kind of life that they want to live. And that is where the debate is, that is where the stress is, because within their emotional hearts and souls, we are all still women, we are caregivers, we are emotional, we feel empathy, we feel sympathy, we want to nurture the love within our hearts. And yet, what the society shows us and what we see around us is that when we do that, we are not given the respect, we are not given the appreciation or the acceptance of the kind of input that we as women are given to make a house a home. So I think we all need to respect the homemakers first before we think about gender equality in our workspaces.
Charity begins at home.
Really cry. I mean, you know, our society says men are not allowed to cry. So, is it okay to cry?
My first breakup, I didn't cry. Second, I said, go to hell.
मेरे फिल्म में एक डायलॉग था, लड़का लड़की कभी दोस्त नहीं हो सकते, लड़का लड़का भी कभी दोस्त नहीं हो सकते.
I don't remember that. Okay. I was watching. That was fun. So yeah, so now we are 10 years into marriage and people ask me, like, even within gay relationships, it doesn't last for long. I mean, we know there are a lot of breakups happen. I mean,
Side. Ankur hട്ടോ. Ankur side. Wait, ma'am. आगे मैम प्ले कर रहा है. गेट बंद करो तो. बंद करो. क्या मैम कैमरा लो.
On World Health Day, I wish all of you all peace, prosperity, a lot of mental peace, happiness, and loads of love and respect to all of you. Thank you.
अरे एक मिनट है. Guys. एक मिनट है.
Shall I?
Yes.
Pictures of itself in interconnected. I'm sure. Just one second.
Yeah, I'll help you. Light आ रही है, glare आ रहा है.
To prevent plastics, I'm having my own.
Ma'am, if you could just come a bit closer. Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. अभी पीछे केयरफुल केयरफुल केयरफुल, वो पीछे वो है, लग जाएगा निकल।
अभी अंदर जाके करते हैं।
आइए मैम, चलिए।
सबसे पहले मैम आप आज बच्चों के बीच में आए और काफ़ी अच्छे विचार लोगों को दिए और मेंटल हेल्थ अवेयरनेस डे के बारे में क्या कुछ कहना चाहेंगे आप?
जी, सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट बात यह है कि मेंटल हेल्थ को अलग नहीं समझा जाए। जैसे आप बीमार होते हो, सर्दी खांसी पेट में दर्द होता है या कहीं लग जाती है और आप डॉक्टर के पास जाते हो, वैसे ही मेंटल हेल्थ में भी आपको सही सलाह लेनी चाहिए, डॉक्टर्स के पास जाना चाहिए और अपनी तकलीफ़ ज़ाहिर करनी चाहिए। अगर आपको एंग्जाइटी हो, डिप्रेशन हो, उसका सल्यूशन है और बात करने से ही बात बनती है।
मैम आपसे जानना चाहेंगे, अगर हम मेंटल हेल्थ की बात करते हैं तो ज़्यादातर हमें यंग यूथ में ये देखने को मिलता है, तो आपकी क्या ओपिनियन है उनके थ्रू, जो कि लव हो या स्टडी हो या फ्रेंडशिप में, ऑल ऑफ में हर जगह हमें डिप्रेशन देखने को मिलता है, तो क्या कुछ कहना चाहेंगे?
डिप्रेशन ये शब्द शायद पहले भी था, किसी को पता नहीं था कि ऐसी कोई चीज़ होती है। बड़े परिवार सब साथ में रहते थे तो वक्त ही नहीं मिलता था कि अपने बारे में सोचे। आज सोसाइटीज़ में परिवार छोटे हो गए हैं, बहुत सारे बच्चे अकेले रहते हैं, पढ़ने के लिए बाहर जाते हैं और किसी के साथ अपनी मन की बात नहीं कर सकते। तब जाके थोड़ा सा भी टेंशन, थोड़ी सी एंग्जाइटी या थोड़ा कुछ प्रॉब्लम लाइफ में आती है, तब उन्हें लगता है कि बस दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा टेंशन उनके सर पे आ गया और वो चीज़ बढ़ती जाती है। मैं उसको छोटा नहीं मानती, मैं ये मानती हूँ कि एक ही प्रॉब्लम के बारे में बार बार सोचने के वजह से प्रॉब्लम बहुत बड़ा हो जाता है, अपने ही दिमाग में, अपने ही दिल में। तो बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि आप किसी ऐसे इंसान के साथ अपनी बातें शेयर करें जो आपकी बातें सुने, एक आउटलेट मिले आपको, चाहे वो डॉक्टर हो, चाहे परिवार का कोई आदमी हो, जो आपको सही सलाह दे सके, जो आपकी मदद कर सके।
Ma'am, mental health is a universal human right. Is the theme for the World Health Mental Day for the specific year.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts on the same?
इट इज़ अ यूनिवर्सल राइट ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटी। आई थिंक सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट बात यह है कि हमें एक दूसरे को रिस्पेक्ट करना चाहिए, एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए और अप्रिशिएट करना चाहिए ताकि हम आगे बढ़ सके। जब कोई भी इंसान एक ही काम करता रहता है या दूसरों के लिए काम करता रहता है और उसे उस चीज़ के लिए एक्सेप्टेंस, अप्रिसिएशन नहीं मिलता, तब उस इंसान को बहुत दुख होता है। ये हम सब जानते हैं। दो वी ऑल से थैंक यू इज़ नॉट नीडेड, सॉरी इज़ नॉट नीडेड, फिर भी हर इंसान को ये दो शब्द का वैल्यू की समझ भी होनी चाहिए और वैल्यू रहती है। तो I think it's very important that we learn to appreciate people, we learn to accept them, not give judgment on what another person is doing. और ये सब की बेस है respecting another human being. ये सोसाइटी में आजकल नहीं है। I think that is the basis of every relationship and humanity.
साथ ही आप आज आए हो बच्चों के बीच में और आपकी फिल्म भी आ रही है टीचर्स डे, तो किस तरह का एक्सपीरियंस रहा आपका, क्या कुछ कहना चाहेंगे?
देखिए, हैप्पी टीचर्स डे एक ऐसी फिल्म है जहाँ पर मेंटल हेल्थ के बारे में बहुत सारी चीज़ें उस फिल्म में दिखाई देगी आपको। हम हमारी बेटियों को पढ़ा के आगे बढ़ाना चाहते हैं, उनकी ज़िंदगी संवारना चाहते हैं। हम ये चाहते हैं कि वो अपनी ज़िंदगी अपने अपने हिसाब से जिए, लेकिन हमारी सोसाइटी में अभी तक ना बाप, ना पति, ना बेटा, ना भाई उस औरत को ये सपोर्ट सिस्टम बन सकता है। तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि जब हम हमारी बेटियों को सिखाते जब हम हमारी बेटियों को ये सारी चीज़ें सिखाते, तब हमको हमारे बेटों को भी यही सिखाना चाहिए कि हमारी बेटियों को मदद करें, उनकी सपोर्ट सिस्टम बने, और ये सारी चीज़ें को एक्सेप्ट करना सिखाना ज़रूरी है।
मैं आपसे जानना चाहेंगे नानावटी कॉलेज जो एक वुमन कॉलेज है, आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा? जो कि आज मैम ने, प्रिंसिपल मैम ने बहुत अच्छा ऑर्गेनाइज किया था, क्या कुछ आपने शेयर किया? हम बीच में से ही यहाँ पर आ गए अपने सेटअप के लिए, सो
जी।
कुछ एक्सपीरियंस आप शेयर करना चाह रहे हैं नानावटी कॉलेज के?
सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बात यह है कि मणिबेन नानावटी कॉलेज जो पिछले 50 साल से है, ये एक ऐसी संस्था है जहाँ पर उन्होंने लड़कियों की शिक्षण पर, लड़कियों की फ्यूचर पर बहुत ध्यान दिया है। उन्होंने मैं कहती हूँ ये कमिटमेंट किया है कि यहाँ से कोई भी लड़की बिना कुछ सीखे, बिना अपना फ्यूचर बढ़ाए, यहाँ से कॉलेज से निकल नहीं सकती। यानी कि फाइनेंशियल कंस्ट्रेंट के कारण, या उसको फीस नहीं भर सकते, या कोई पेरेंट्स उसको अलाउ नहीं करते, ये सारी चीज़ें उनकी ज़िंदगी में ना रहे, ये रुकावट ना बने उनकी पढ़ाई के लिए, ये कॉलेज, ये यहाँ की संस्था, यहाँ के टीचर्स वो मेंटेन करती है, उनको हेल्प करती है, सपोर्ट करती है, बढ़ावा देती है। और यहाँ ये गारंटी है कि इस कॉलेज से हर कोई छात्रा जो निकले वो अपने लाइफ में कुछ ना कुछ अचीव करे। ये आई थिंक दिस इज़ द बिगेस्ट ड्रीम दैट एनी इंस्टीट्यूशन कैन गिव अ चाइल्ड।
मैम, मैं आज भी अगर आपकी बात करूं, आपको देखते हो तो मुझे एक ही फिल्म याद आती है, मैंने प्यार किया। आज आज भी आप वैसी ही दिखती हैं, तो आपके स्किन और आपके सौंदर्य का रहस्य क्या है? कुछ बताना चाह रहे हैं ऑडियंस को आप?
Well, as they say, genetic holds the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. तो कुछ तो खैर माँ बाप ने दिया हुआ है जो दिखाई देता है, लेकिन जैसे उम्र बढ़ती जाती है और उम्र का तकाजा भी रखना चाहिए। आप अपनी लाइफस्टाइल कैसे बदलते हो, कैसे जीते हो, आपका खान पान, रहन सहन कैसे होता है, उस पर बहुत निर्भर होता है कि आपकी हेल्थ कितनी मेंटेन हो सकती है। तो मैं सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ये कहूँगी कि एवरीथिंग इन मॉडरेशन हेल्प्स। आप हर चीज़ मॉडरेशन में करो। जो खाना है खाइए, लेकिन मॉडरेशन में, कम मात्रा में खाइए। जो पसंद है खाइए। अपने देश में तो इतनी अच्छी कुजीन है कि भाई सब खाने की इच्छा होती है, लेकिन हर दिन हर चीज़ नहीं खाए, कम मात्रा में सारी चीज़ें खाए। पानी बहुत पीना ज़रूरी है। हमारे देश में गर्मी भी है, और हम जिस हिसाब से काम करते हैं, हाइड्रेशन इज़ द की टू गुड स्किन। इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि मोबाइल्स, टीवी, ये सब चीज़ हम समय से बंद करें, टाइम से सोए, क्योंकि ऑल दिस अफेक्ट्स आर आईसाइट, अफेक्ट्स आर ब्रेन एंड न्यूरोलॉजिकल सिस्टम। तो सोना बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है। और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण ये बात है कि हम सिर्फ बैठे नहीं रहे। इट्स इम्पॉर्टेंट टू एक्सरसाइज, इम्पॉर्टेंट टू मूव अराउंड। इट्स कुछ भी एक्सरसाइज का ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप जिम ही जाओ। आप वॉक पे जा सकते हो, आप आपके बच्चों के साथ कुछ खेल सकते हो, आप दोस्तों के साथ टहल सकते हो, लेकिन वॉक करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। कुछ ना कुछ एक्सरसाइज, मूवमेंट इन द बॉडी अलाउज योर मसल्स एंड योर सेल्फ टू कीप एजाइल। मतलब जैसे कहते हैं ना, गाड़ी अगर सबसे बेस्ट गाड़ी भी हो, गराज में पार्क हो, तो थोड़े सालों के बाद वो खटारा होने वाली है, पर गाड़ी जब तक चलती रहती है तब तक बहुत ही खूबसूरत लगती है।
Lastly, you've been putting a lot of these videos on Instagram. Like recently, like hashtag Tuesday Tips with B is the talk of the town. And you recently put up a video about bullies. You've been putting up various videos like that. So where do you get the motivation from, and what instigated you to start?
ट्यूसडे टिप्स विद बी तब शुरू हुआ था जब कोविड के अंदर हम सब घर में बैठे थे, और हम सबको हेल्थ के बारे में या उसकी अहमियत के बारे में हमें समझ में आया। सो आई थिंक दिस वाज माय वे ऑफ गिविंग बैक टू सोसाइटी। जहाँ तक मैं जानती हूँ, जो चीज़ें मैं खुद करती हूँ अपने सेहत के लिए, अपने हेल्थ को मेंटेन करने के लिए, मैं अपने दर्शकों के साथ, अपने फैंस के साथ शेयर करती हूँ। कोई भी ऐसी चीज़ नहीं बताती जो मैं खुद अपने ऊपर एक्सपेरिमेंट नहीं करती हूँ। तो सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट ये है कि जो मैं खुद करती हूँ अपने लिए, वही आपके साथ शेयर करती हूँ। और जिससे मुझे फ़ायदा हुआ है, ताकि आपकी ज़िंदगी में अगर आप वो चीज़ें करें तो शायद जैसे मुझे फ़ायदा हुआ है आपको भी हो जाए.
थैंक यू मैम.
थैंक यू सो मच. थैंक यू सो मच.